summoned the VEM's committee meeting this Wednesday, 21st of October. Welcome to those that are viewing the live stream via YouTube. Welcome, colleagues. I hope you're all dry on this miserable damp day. I'm going to move straight into our agenda item, which is 435/20. Declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interest. Do we have any, please, David? Or from colleagues, sorry, I should say.
None received, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chris. Item 436/20, apologies for absence. Have you received any, Chris, or are we full complement?
Apologies from Councillor Jeremy have been received.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe he's at a budget meeting at county today. Well, we have the single item. Sorry, who's?
There's four of us. There's four in at the moment, so we're a quorum.
Okay, so Chris, we're a full complement bar Councillor Jeremy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then no other apologies received.
No.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, we just have the one agenda item, colleagues, which is 437/20, and this is the budget review. So it's the revised forecast budget for 2020/21 and a draft budget for 2021/22. David, would you like to open up on those items?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So there's two elements to this agenda item. The first being the revised forecast budget for this year, 2020 to 2021. And then we'll move on to discuss the draft budget for 2021/22. In terms of the first element, the revised budget, we are still being seriously affected by the COVID-19 restrictions to our operation, and that's reflected in the income budget that you see on the screen now. Bar fees, as you can see, have been downgraded and will continue to be, unfortunately, for the foreseeable future because of the restrictions to those kind of events. On a positive, those events that were being scheduled this year, I would say 85 to 90% of the hirers are just rescheduling dates for 2021/22 season. So hopefully we won't lose out on the eventual hire, but it's seriously impacting on this one. Carnegie hire, we are still going ahead with the low impact events such as the fitness classes. Blood donors are introducing more sessions. I don't know whether that's directly linked with the situation, but they are taking the opportunity to hire the hall on a more regular basis than usual, so we might be able to pick up some hires there. Guildhall is actually just completing the internal works, so it would have been affected anyway. So this is the ideal time to complete those works. We're just about to start commencing the external works on the Guildhall, which is the ramp and the extended steps. And again, if there's any time that we needed to do it, it's best to do it now whilst there's no hirers into the building, and hopefully we can pick up in April of next year. So events income, again, events income has been impacted simply because of the situation. Market fees are sort of holding their own. We have picked up some new stalls of late, although the weather, it seems like Tuesday and Saturday, weekly markets are here, so here comes the rain. But the stalwarts are there. We still are having some new inquiries. So hopefully, if weather allows, we might be able to extend the stall holders' attendance over the next few months, certainly leading up to Christmas. On the expenditure side, a lot of it is relevant to income. So bar purchases and catering purchases are obviously down because there's no need to order because we're not doing those events. Repairs and maintenance is one of those expenditure items that have to be facilitated whether we're in this situation or not. So we've just completed our fire inspections, and we will have our servicing of our heating and aircon. Apart from that, it pretty much is what it says on the sheet there. So I don't know whether the council have got any questions on that.
Thank you, David, for that update. I'm now going to open it up to comments or questions. If you could put your hand up in the chat box, please, colleagues. Is there any questions to come forward or comments on the budget? Okay, well, while colleagues are pondering and gathering their thoughts, David, David, given that
yeah, from Brenda Connor.
Yeah, I can see it in the chat. Thank you, Brenda. I'll just ask my question, then I'll come to you. If that's okay. David, given that we are in times that are very difficult to predict, and this probably relates to the second part of the item more than the first, actually. Would it be a prudent step for us as a committee to revisit our budget? Well, I know we look at it on a monthly basis anyway, but look at it and possibly revise it again at a 6-month period. What would your advice be?
Absolutely, I think we should do that as a norm. That's usual business practice anyway, so I think the council should follow that. But yes, that's certainly a prudent suggestion to revise the budget.
Perhaps if we can put that onto the forward plan, I think I just think, you know, I don't think any of us, unless we possess a crystal ball, can state what the next 12 months are going to look like. And as the arm of the council that has the opportunity to generate income more than the other parts, I think it'd be prudent to do that. Brenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, when you said about the heating inspections, is that the gas side of it? You know, everyone has to have their gas checked once a year.
Yeah, it's all the services, Brenda. It's our gas servicing for our kitchen appliances, etc., and our water heaters. It's also the aircon and heating into the main hall. It's our boilers in the guild hall. It's our fire smoker. It's all the servicing contracts that we do. They all have to be maintained, whether we're actually got people in the building or not. We've got staff in the building all the time. So we do have to, unfortunately, spend that money on doing those statutory services. So you will see that won't be revised because that's a necessity. So yeah.
Can I come back again?
Please do.
So I don't know who does your gas. I don't know whether it's British Gas or who, but do we check every few years to see that we're getting, as I say, value for money?
We usually do a 3-year review process because I understand what you're saying, and we do try and get value for money. That's the core purpose of that review. We are currently not needing to review our servicing contractors until next year, and we've just agreed the new servicing rates for this year and next year, and it's next year we'll go through that process, but we do that periodically, and that's 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Just on that, David, I wonder if because I know we're committed to supporting climate change. I wonder if we can maybe look at a green tariff when that next comes round as part of the ongoing commitment.
Chair, can I answer that, please? That comes up on finance, as you probably know, and I believe that was done earlier this year. And all the green tariffs were actually chosen for the next 3 years.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chris. That's really useful. Thank you. I don't seem to have any other questions or comments from colleagues. David, would you like to move on to the revised budget for 21-22, please? The draft budget, I should say, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So, this is the forecast budget or draft forecast budget for 2021-22. We did look at this at a previous VEM meeting. I think there was comments about trying to get some additional narrative around our forecast. Usually when you create a forecast budget, you pretty much base it on previous year's data history. We can't do that this year simply because it's a complete whitewash. So what we've done is we've based these figures pretty much on data history from the previous 2 years. And certainly there were some comments maybe that are we being too unrealistic with our forecast? Well, all of the figures in the income are pretty much what we hit in 2019-20. So they are realistic figures. And if we have a reasonably normal year, then I am very confident that we can achieve all of those. So from an income perspective, I think they are realistic and achievable. Lots of the expenditure elements of the forecast budget are based on those relative against income. So purchases, for instance, in bar and catering will be relative to those income streams above. Our events expenses, we are keeping at the £5,000, which we have used as a seed fund, if you like, over the last couple of years in our budgets. The idea is that this money is used to engage bands and other performing artists to try and pay deposits to get them booked up. But they are primarily the events that you'll see included in this budget are commercial events, i.e. ticketed events. So the premise is that we'll use this money to engage with those artists, but hopefully the events are successful and we recoup that money and more in terms of our event income. So hopefully at the end of the year, we should have probably about that as an underspend. And then we've got the ideal opportunity to then talk about whether we reinvest it in the future budgets to hopefully expand our events program going forward. But that's the premise against that expenditure forecast. The entertainment area of £1,250, that is purely PRS licensing payment. So that's linked to any of those kind of commercial events. The marketing and comms, we did feel that we needed an extra input into marketing comms this year, and that's already been discussed and approved by VEM at previous meetings. So that went up from £5,000 to £7,500. Although we are conducting a website review at the moment, which might reduce our commitments in that area, but that's something we're working on. And the other area that we didn't have as an isolated item in previous budgets was the maintenance and cleaning budgets. And this was a suggestion by some councillors at a previous meeting to say that maintenance and repairs on the whole are looked at in terms of another committee, i.e. Personnel or amenities, land and property. But we need a budget ourselves for some. So when we need to clean around the perimeter of the venues, or we need, in terms of, I think it was Councillor Wright that suggested, we need something to change door handles if they, if they're damaged and things like that. So it was suggested we put £10,500 into that area to cover those kind of expenses. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to look at those, but I don't know whether councillors have got questions on that.
Thank you for that, David. Again, I'm opening it up to comments or questions. Over to you, colleagues. Okay, just while we're waiting for questions to go up in the chat box, David. Obviously, this budget, we've based it on 2019/20. From recollection, that was on an upward. There was an upward trend on bar fees, hire, catering, and events income on the previous year because of the work the committee and particularly the officers had delivered upon. I'm conscious though we will need to keep a beady eye on this because we are still 2019/20 was probably our last normal year. 2021, we've obviously been dealing with the effects of pandemic along with the wider community, and I'm afraid to say I have a suspicion that we're going to be in the same place at least for the first 6 months of of 21. So I think we need to monitor this. There is some work coming forward in the forward plan around income generation. So as much as I might be painting a negative picture around the figures and the need to review, there is a possibility, all being well, that we're going to have a positive impact on our budget as well if we bring on online additional income streams. I don't know if you wish to comment on that, David, or
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to come back on that. And actually, I'm really pleased that you caveated those comments with the positive reasoning, because you're right, Chair. As we've had those discussions in terms of learning hard lessons this year, and it's not a case of just sitting on your laurels and thinking, well, you know, we can't do anything. One of the things that we can do and could have done better if we were in a better place was outside events to generate bar income. And I know, Chair, in your forward planning, you are looking to try and improve our mobile options of bar events. So again, absolutely correct that we're not going to say that if this pandemic actually stretches into the new year beyond April the 1st, which I really, really wish we don't, as I'm sure everybody does. We don't really want to impact on those realistic figures that we know we can achieve. But what we'll do is we'll actually develop other options previous to that, so leading up to that, to ensure that we hit those targets. And actually, we'll do that anyway, because we really want to challenge our business. We really want to challenge our operation, and hopefully we can do both in better climes. So absolutely right, Chair. Thank you for those comments.
Thank you. Brenda.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but you both pinched my thunder, because mine was, you know, we're going to have to look at this again after Christmas to see what the world's doing, and then again in I'd say about March, so that we can see how it's going. And as Dave, as you both have said, the outdoor events, it's not going to bring in loads, but it's a way forward to get an income in.
Thank you, Brett. But what is good? There's an optimistic realism about the conversation we're having, and so far myself, yourself, and David have all been on the same page. So going forward, that's a good thing. Is there anybody else that wishes to comment?
Can I just draw everybody back to what the agenda item is about? And we're actually in a phased schedule of all of the committees in trying to present an approved draft forecast budget to initially finance and then full council for approval of the 2021-22 budget, which you desperately need these figures because you've got to calculate what our proposed precept may be. So I know, I understand Councillor Canham's comments, and I fully agree with those, but we do need to approve at some point a forecast budget going forward. So from this committee, I would like to feel that it's realistic enough to present as a draft forecast budget, and that we can do that going forward. No doubt we'll have further discussions over the forthcoming months anyway, as we always do at this stage of the proceedings.
Well, I'll be happy to recommend this going forward from the chair.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Brenda.
Yeah, I agree with what David says. We've got to do this. Obviously, all committees are going to be in the same boat. It's, we've got to prepare so that this is ready to go in November to finance and full council. So I will second your proposal.
Thank you. Well, colleagues, we have a recommendation on the table proposed by myself and seconded by Councillor Cam. Thanks for that, Brenda. I'm going to ask you to vote for, against, or abstain. So all those in favour, please.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. Could you put your just put yes or in the chat box, just because you all spoke at once then in your eagerness.
Oh.
So I have Councillor Harvey, Councillor Callum agree. Dennis, thank you. Dennis is in agreement as well. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Anyone against? Okay, it would seem that that's carried. And that will go as a recommendation to the Finance Committee. Is that correct, Chris? Hello, Chris.
Yeah, Chris is muted, but that's correct.
Sorry, yes, we're going to the Finance Committee.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Well, thank you, colleagues. That concludes our meeting. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Normally I would say stay safe, but I'm going to add to that, stay dry.